Hey, welcome. It's almost Europe Day, and Live Europe, a tradition meanwhile, has prepared something for you. After 1 year of pandemic, we all want to go back to concerts and discover new talents and trends. And Live Europe has launched a campaign together with the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, that aims to come as close as possible to the actual experience. We're all missing so much. So what is it about? Basically, it's 15 sets by emerging young European artists recorded in 15 iconic European venues. And the music they recorded will be broadcasted by public radio stations all over Europe. And among the artists participating, we have bands such as Altingun from the Netherlands, Amelie Ziba from the Czech Republic, David Nungvani from Belgium, Greta from Denmark, or Pompoko from Norway. Among the avenues participating, we have the legendary Ancienne Belgique in Belgium, where I am actually sitting right now. But we also have La Reonef in France, Melkweg in the Netherlands, or the Village Underground in the UK. So you know what we're talking about. Let's first have a view at the teaser of the campaign.
Sehen würde. Du hast dich überhaupt nicht verändert. Slip away into shut my eyes from trouble. Never will it stop.
Now, before we start with the actual panel discussion, let's first hear a message from the EU Commission Vice President Margaritis Skinas.
Congratulations to Live Europe, to the EBU, and to the 15 young and talented artists for coming together and celebrate Europe Day. In Europe, we can all be proud of what we stand for. Solidarity, freedom, diversity, cooperation that knows no border. By being who you are and doing what you do together, you embody precisely that, our European way of life. Be assured that you can count on us. We have a common purpose. We are stronger together as a union, and we have you. Your talent, your creativity, your energy. Thank you for your good vibes. Happy Europe Day.
Now, after this message, let's come to the actual discussion of today, in which we will discuss how actors in the music world have experienced the pandemic and how they tried to cope with it. I am Diego Velasquez. I'm a journalist in Brussels covering EU affairs, usually for the Luxemburger Wort, Luxembourgish newspaper. And today I will be your moderator in a panel in which I am proud to host, and with guests that will have very interesting points of view on their experience, because they're all part of this music ecosystem. And first, we have David Nungvani, who is the artist actually selected for the campaign by the Ancienne Belgique and by Studio Brussels. But first and foremost, he's one of the most en vogue artists in Belgium, known for his band Le Colisée already grabbed some attention, and he has already toured with artists such as Charlotte Gainsbourg. His solo project blends rhetoric, pop and R&B with very contemporary beats and lyrics. Then we have Joris Jonker, who is the head of the music program for Studio Brussels. He manages the music programmation there, and Studio Brussels is probably the most important alternative music station in Belgium. And our third guest is Fiona Deus Fandi. Fiona has, for 15 years now, managed and monitored the cultural programs that by the European Commission, where the European Commission subsidized, and she has a very fine feeling for the terrain, for what's happening actually on the ground, despite working for such a big administration like the European Commission is. And last but not least, Elise Famgia, the coordinator of Live Europe, the program that actually made all of this happen, who will also share her experience of, yeah, what is it like to coordinate a live music program? There are no concerts. But first, I wanted to start with you, David, because it's very interesting in your song Beats. You sing how instead of being on a big stage doing what you actually do for a living and what you love doing, you're trapped in your apartment doing beats. So then the question really is, what was this pandemic like for you when from one day to another you had to stop doing your actual job and your passion? David, you have to unmute your.
Yeah. I figured. Sorry about this. I was saying that it was just a very bad timing, and I guess it was the same for everyone. But like you said it, I worked for other people for years. You know, I worked for Charles Gainsbourg, like you said, or many other artists. I was producing or writing lyrics or touring with them, playing the instruments. And during that time, I was always recording songs on my own. And at the end of 2019, I was really thinking, all right, 2020 is going to be my year because I'm finally going to release my music. So it was a pretty bad timing. But at the same time, I just had so much time to record music. So I lost the live aspect of music. We all did. But I mean, I could just like I say in the song, it's I'm just trying to grab what's left, and what's left is just recording as much music as we can, and hopefully releasing the music. But I don't know. It was really weird, especially because I was really like most of my life was spent on the road, and suddenly there was no road, so it was just kind of weird. But I mean, I guess it was the same for me as for everyone else. You know, it was just weird. But as musicians, we still have the studio, so it's it's okay.
And for you, Joris, I think music and live music is not only a big part of your professional life, but probably also of your private life. How did you experience 2020 and the beginning of 2021?
Yeah, well, it was a very intense period of time, I think. We didn't stop making radio. Radio always goes on, but the circumstances were much more difficult and less fun, because usually we go from one concert to another, and we are broadcasting live from all the big festivals in Belgium. And this was totally different last year, of course. But still, we of course we kept on going because our audience relied on us, not only for information about what was going on in the world, about concerts and festivals that were postponed or cancelled and what happened to their tickets. But they also counted on us for a sort of companionship, which was very important in this time of loneliness. They relied on us for entertainment, to forget about this pandemic from time to time. And music is such a powerful tool in a crisis like this. I had to think about the initiative of our Dutch friends from the 3FM radio station, who gathered 180 radio stations across Europe to play the same song, "You'll Never Walk Alone," at the same time, connecting millions of listeners in different countries, but all in the same situation. So that was really powerful. And I think this pandemic really forced us to be even more creative and explore new ways in working together with both artists and the live music industry. And we tried to be there for them. We tried to raise awareness for the difficult situation of artists and the live music industry. We made a little pin saying, "Ik luister Belgisch," I listen to Belgian music, for people to express their support for artists and concert promoters in a difficult period of time. And we sold them, and all profits went to organizations that helped them. And we also tried to tell their stories. We made radio shows live from 15 empty concert halls and music clubs across Belgium, like AB, broadcasting live from an empty stage, and talking to the owners of the club, to the music programmers, to the people behind the bar, to the people behind the ticket booth, about how this pandemic affected their lives and their activities. And we also gave them the chance to highlight some of the talent that they were really waiting for to give a chance on their stage, and that they really wanted to promote. And they played a radio session during these shows. So in a way, we sort of did the same as this Europe Day on a smaller scale in Belgium. And we explored new opportunities to work together with artists that are far away, that are in a different country, to get their music heard and to give them alternative ways of performing for an audience. But of course, nothing beats the real thing. So we're totally hoping to get back to the real live stuff very soon.
So yeah, you have to be creative to find new ways to keep on doing what you're doing. And then I'm coming to you, Fiona, because, well, you supervise live programs for live music, and from one day to the other, there is no live music anymore. And you, as you said, so like we have to get creative. But how possible is it to be creative and flexible when you actually work in an institution that, yeah, is not always known for being flexible? How do you adapt, and how can you also sometimes convince your superiors to be creative and flexible in times like these?
Yes, indeed. I agree with you. It's very difficult to be flexible. What we really did is try to be as flexible as we could, like all projects which were foreseeing live performances, they were switched to online performances, and we absolutely accepted this flexibility in terms of moving their work program, because we talk about projects which are being financed under Creative Europe culture, and therefore normally, you said it yourself, it's not easy to be flexible in such a big institution because we are bound to some very strict rules, but we tried to be as flexible as possible. For example, in the work programs, so how the activities themselves were implemented, but as well in the service we were giving to beneficiaries, in the options and information giving as much as possible, which is already a big step ahead. Of course, we had some limits, so we couldn't be as flexible as we would have wished to, but in a way, what was interesting for us is that all these live online activities allowed us to be more present in the projects themselves, because we could participate to the activities and to the meetings between partners and members of the different projects because of this online environment. And in a way allowed us to be more present and make projects feel our willingness to help them out. So I think that we did as well other different steps to allow them to share good practices, but I will share this information later on in your next question.
Yes, I'm certain we will come back to that. Thank you, because it's another very interesting point on actually what we did. But now I'm coming to Elise, the coordinator of Live Europe. Well, your program is called Live Europe. So I guess that for you, it must have been particularly frustrating to, having to get rid of the live part of the program. Please tell us how you managed to bridge the time during the pandemic.
Thanks a lot, Diego. And yeah, I think in the framework of our project, as you said, Live Europe, we're not only about live music, but we're also about, you know, bringing more new European artists from uncharted territories to, you know, one venue to the other. So it was a bit as though we were faced with a double penalty in that sense, and what we often see. And I mean, the whole reason why we started Live Europe was also because we saw that bringing those new European artists was a significant risk, and doing that right now and also in the future is going to be much more of a challenge. So I think really what we really try to do over the past year and a few months now is really to continue to not only support our music venues that were deeply affected, but also to continue to support the artists that really constitute the future of the music scene, because, you know, without those artists there would be no music scene. And that's really what we've been striving to do, whether it's through online activities or through some other projects that we're doing with the residency. And this is really what this whole campaign that we're going to talk about is all about.
Yeah, exactly. Then let's talk about the campaign. For me personally, it was very beautiful because that's what I'm missing. Sometimes you just go to a music venue and you don't know really who's playing, but you just discover. But you need all this, the venue, the promoters, the radio stations to guide you. And I rediscovered that with the campaign, a bit this feeling of I just click on the music that's playing, and let's have the surprise of what's coming. And if you like a band, you will look for more. David, I'm coming back to you. You participate in this campaign, and what do you expect from it? A new audience, maybe new echoes from public. I mean, what can such online campaigns, with their limitations, but also with their qualities that you maybe don't have if you just play a show, what can they bring to you as an artist?
I mean, what I think is interesting is that I'm playing in front of a very different audience, you know, because I'm not playing in front of people who just happen to pass by, or, you know, I'm playing in front of potentially people in Poland, you know, and at the same time I'm playing in front of people in France maybe. So it's a whole new experience for a musician, because we didn't really do live streams before. It existed, but it wasn't really something that we really did, you know. So to answer your question, I don't know what to expect, because it's really new for me to be playing in front of invisible people in unknown places, you know. And so I can at the same time expect more and less, you know. And but honestly, I hope I can go and play to go and play in different places in Europe when it's all done, you know. You're talking about some venues in the beginning, and I remember I played there before, and I'd be really happy to go back because some of them were really great. And so yeah, it's very different, but at the same time I kind of had what I wanted, you know. I'm not really expecting anything more, because mostly what I wanted was to be able to play on the stage and have like a big sound and spend a day with my friends, and it happened. So I'm already happy, you know.
what I also asked myself, and this is another question for you, actually, to follow up, is that maybe the live feeling, but without the audience. So you have actually this big stage and quietness, so no public who's shouting. How is this experience like? Because I imagine you never thought of playing it in Abbey without an audience.
Yeah. No, it was, I think it was the second or third live stream I was doing. No, it was the second live stream I was doing in a venue, in a empty venue. First time was really weird, I have to say, because you kind of have to find in yourself the energy, and you kind of have to be your own audience. And I'm a bad audience, you know. I never cheer, and so I was bad for myself as well. And so I remember the first time was weird, but at the second time at the it was okay, because I understood that I could mostly just be happy to be playing with my friend, you know. And so I could just see this as a really, really fancy rehearsal, you know, with a huge sound system, and I know that some people are going to see it, so I kind of do my best. But it's not that weird when you just try to enjoy the moment, and just you don't have to imagine like, oh, it's like a show but there's nobody there. It's just like a really cool rehearsal. That's it.
Yeah, Joris, as David said, there can be also surprising and positive parts of it. You participated in the Live Europe campaign. What is your experience with this kind of campaigns where you actually not emulate what the actual live promotion could be, but find ways of doing it online? What are your experiences with that, and what good ideas came out of it, of this necessity to find new ways of promoting live young music?
Well, it's a totally different context, of course, than the live show where you're standing in the crowd and you have goosebumps when you discover an artist you have never heard of before. This is another way of discovering new music and new artists that is in a way more accessible as well. It might be not easy to go beyond borders and to see what's happening in other countries, but this is a great way to bring this together. So this is why we wanted to participate in this project, not only because I wanted to do a live session with David Numwani for a while now, so this was a great moment to capture it, but also because it's fun to see what's going on in different countries. For instance, at Studio Brussels, it's always fun to go to Eurosonic, the festival in Groningen, to explore new sounds and different scenes from different countries. We participated with Studio Brussels in Europe's biggest dance show as well, which is the EBU initiative, in which we made one big dance party show on the radio on a Friday night with, I think, 9 or 10 different European stations, with an hour first from BBC Radio 1, then an hour from 1 Live, then an hour from 3FM and Studio Brussels, and so on. And you listen to each other and you discover new music, you discover different approaches, and it's something totally different than walking around at the Showcase Festival and going to a band that you don't know yet. But it's great fun as well. And even in these times where you aren't allowed to travel, it's good to cross borders in this way. In fact, a few weeks ago at Studio Brussels, we launched a new radio show highlighting the music scenes of different countries every week. So that way we hope that the music takes our listeners abroad and might inspire them and make them dream of different places, and get them acquainted with new music scenes and new sounds that they don't know yet. And I have to say that I'm very happy to be part of this and do this together with AB, because I feel like we share a lot of the same values and the same DNA when it comes to giving opportunities to new talent, both local and international, and discovering new sounds. So great to be part of this.
Yeah, I also have a follow-up question to you as actually a professional music listener. During these times, I asked myself, and maybe a lot of people did, would the same bands have grabbed your attention if you saw them live, or do you think you have another taste when you can just listen to bands, actually, which is something that we're not used to, because when we see a band we like on stage, well, maybe we go home and then listen to the record and say, oh, I had it better in my head. How is this a bit playing with you?
No, this is a very interesting question, because the life story of a band is very much part of their identity and their attitude. Sometimes we play bands on the radio, especially because they are so good live, and because the fans, when hearing their music on the radio, their mind goes back to memories of these bands on stage. So I have often wondered how new artists that I discovered in the past year, how they would perform live on stage, and what impression they would make.
Yes, and let's come back to you, Fiona. You started before reflecting on how it is to actually be able to participate more in what you're monitoring, because now you don't have to be physically present in Finland and 2 hours later in Portugal. Can you tell us more about what this year of looking at programs that you monitor and having a bigger overview make you think of your work, maybe, and if you saw things that should be maybe get more space, or should be funded more, or should be what was what did you learn from this year of being more on the ground, on base digitally?
I have to say that we learned a lot, most of all through an initiative that I've created with a colleague, which happened in effect this morning, which was, how could we help more our beneficiaries in implementing their project, and where is the big impact of the crisis on the different activities, on the different projects. So what we did is we did a survey. We sent a survey to all open projects, with more than 600. And we asked them the impact of the crisis on their activities, on their project, but as well, which were the positive results and outputs, lessons learned, because there are lots of lessons learned, and as well, which were the alternatives on going online. So it's not only about transferring an event from live to online, but what else is there to be seen, and how projects were working with their partners. Because when we talk about European project, it's always about projects in which you have a cooperation and cross-border dimension with several countries, which is very, very interesting. And following the survey, we gathered plenty of different kind of information on how projects were doing things. And this has helped us, first of all, thinking about, okay, what can we offer in the future, but as well, what can we do now for them? And we said, okay, let's do a big event in which we invite them all to share good practices through a panel of discussion. Elise was one of our participants, giving the point of view of the live music sector. And we have seen plenty of very, very interesting, like this pandemic allowed to boost creativity in terms of format. It allowed as well to have a lower impact on the environment because of the non-traveling possibilities, but as well participation much more of partners in each other's event, whether it's meetings, but as well as Joris was saying, I participated as well to Eurosonic from Brussels. I could, in effect, attend many more conferences than what I used to hear and attend while I'm there, because you have so many things to do that your time is limited. So you have plenty of possibility with this online environment, which for sure will change the future in a way. Of course, we will go back to live. We will go back to hearing David online, and not online, sorry, live. Really looking forward to it. But this online dimension will enrich and will complement, because we have opened up with this online environment to new audiences, to new countries. The audiences has diversified and opened up even more. So it's a very interesting dimension. So in the next calls of our Creative Europe program, we have said, okay, we need to take on board a couple of things. First of all, increase co-financing, so increase the amount of money we can give to projects so that it really goes to the sector, to the artists, and so on and so forth. And second one, we said, okay, this dimension on how to work together and boost capacities thanks to these online and new online possibilities has to be further explored in several different sectors, because for example, what we have seen is music was more ready than other sectors because they were more ready to react to going online, even if, of course, it has been strongly penalized for what is live performances. So I hope I answered a little bit to your question. I wanted to give this very broad dimension we have seen.
No, perfect. And I think in the next round of questions, we will also talk about which practices we could actually use in the future even more. But I wanted to come back to ask you another question, Fiona, because during the pandemic, I also wrote articles on the cultural scene and how it was affected by the pandemic. And I actually discovered something that wasn't present to my mind usually, that it's actually a big chunk of the economy, and it's a lot of people, active people working there, and it's something you can't just neglect. And I just wondered if you're not afraid that despite all the good practices, some of the activity will have difficulties to restart after the pandemic. What was your view on that, given that you have a very large view on the cultural sector in Europe?
Yeah, absolutely. But this depends a lot of what each national country has done to help the sector. You know, at European level, several actions have been done, but we cannot be the ones solving everything. You know that culture is competence of each national country. It's absolutely true that it's a big economy, the cultural sectors. Look how many different cultural sectors there are in Europe, but very complicated to help them all from Europe. It has to be done lots at national level. I've been following a little bit what happens in Italy. It depends a lot as well on the status of what is a cultural organization. What we see is that a majority of people working in the cultural sector are freelancers, or they don't have a legal, how can you say it? They are not, or sometimes officially working for something. They do it in black, and this penalizes them even more. Therefore, the impact on the cultural sector was huge. And now at European level, several actions are being done. What we have done is, okay, let's increase the co-financing we are going to give for European projects. This is for Creative Europe, but then there are other actions which I cannot really tell you about because I don't know them so well. So I don't prefer to speak about things I don't know.
Fair point, fair point. So yeah, let's come back to Elise, because actually we're here to discuss also the Live Europe campaign as such. How did the idea come, and was that your way of managing this crisis and still fulfill your mission, which is, I think, so vital? Yeah, how did you pick the bands, and tell us a bit more about how this project came to be?
So yeah, as Fiona also pointed out a lot, the projects that we're involved in at European level is about, you know, doing cooperation with actors from all corners of the continent. So here the idea was really very much so to manage to work with our music venues to continue to build something meaningful, especially when it comes to, you know, promoting artists from all over. So what we decided to do, well, the first initiative that we did that was very much in this line was our Live Europe online festival in last September, where we basically did a multi-location festival. So all of our venues, and it was the first time that we ever managed to have a project with all our venues, also recorded shows that were all live streamed at the same time on last September. And so following that experience, we thought, well, okay, so we know that live streams are happening all the time, but how can we differentiate, and how can we give visibility to those artists together with our venues on the next step? And so that's why we got in touch also with the EBU, so the European Broadcasting Union, which is our partner for this event. And the idea was, well, beyond using the stages of our venues to highlight those artists, to really amplify the visibility of the artists by working with radios such as Liveurope or VDR One Live, or even the BBC and all those radios that are apart from EBU, so that we can, you know, give a springboard to these artists. And for example, for the selection of the artists, what happened is that all our venues really are, you know, tastemakers in their own perspective. So we asked all our venues to select one artist that they would think could be a good fit at European level to be promoted on these radios. And oftentimes as well, the selection was done in collaboration with the radio. So in the case of Ancienne Belgique, it was done together with Liveurope, which really, again, you know, reinforced the collaboration. And yeah, the idea was then to have all those streams of all those shows of those emerging European artists being available to the radio. So, for example, to have, you know, Agata Klaszewska, which is the Polish folk artist that was selected to be picked up by the Portuguese or the Belgian radio, or Pogo Carcache Control, which is you know, the French metal band, to be able to, you know, reach new audiences in Germany or elsewhere. So it's really to have this kind of movement that we wanted to have this campaign.
Yeah, great. And yeah, as we've seen, I mean, this time made us reconsider the way we work, and be it in the organization or on stage. And there was a bit, I really wanted to know if, for example, from the artistic perspective, David, we were talking before how it is to play live but with no audience, and how you work from your apartment. Are there elements of your work that you discovered during this pandemic that maybe will have an influence of you, or that you will retake with you in the future without a pandemic?
Um, hmm. I think I sing a bit better than before because I had a bit more time to rehearse. So that's one thing. And also, there are so many things that are new to me because, as I was saying in the first question, I sort of just started my own project, David Umami, releasing music with my own name. So I'm kind of discovering everything, you know, marketing, for example. And it's quite weird because I have to discover everything without touring. But yes, I feel like this is a weird period. So we all had to kind of figure out for ourselves how to do it. And it kind of made us a bit more creative, I think, you know, and that's pretty much what we've been talking about for 40 minutes. I don't know how much time we've been talking, but, and so I just feel a bit more creative, weirdly, you know, because being unable to create as I would have just forced me to find other ways to do it. And so I just kind of feel like, for example, I had to direct a video for myself, or I had to discover how to do a live stream. I had to discover how to do so many things, and I'm very curious, like, how is it gonna be when it's all done? Are we all gonna be extremely more creative than before because we've been forced to, or is it just going to be normal, just like before? But yeah, I just to answer your question a bit more directly, I just feel a bit more creative, you know, because I had to find other ways to do what I would usually do, like with the traditional way.
Yeah, I also wondered if this whole doing things online has not, from a very pragmatic point of view, also changed how you work as a musician and how you record. Because I mean, sometimes you, I don't know, need a bass line, and yeah, you need to find the bassist to come by. And if now just things like this happen quicker, when people say, okay, I'll record it from home and send it to you, and then you, if there was not a new way of working and making music together when you can't actually really meet.
In my case, I record everything on my own, so it didn't really change anything in my case. But yeah, so I was very lucky because my process works in this environment, because I record the different instruments and I mix the tracks. But yeah, I've seen a lot of bands around me who are just struggling so hard because it's not only recording together, it's also finding happiness in playing together because you know that you're going to show it to someone else, you know. Otherwise, it's all of this beauty maybe is just wasted, you know, because you can't really like hold it for a year and then maybe 2 years, I don't know, and then it's going to be fresh like the first time. So I feel like in my case it didn't really change anything in terms of recording, but in terms of having fun playing with people, it really changes everything, because it's a bit like you know, you're drawing something very, very beautiful, but everyone is blind, you know, so nobody's going to see it.
But don't you have hopes or maybe expectations, since everyone is a bit missing that out and really looks forward for re-experiencing live music and sharing those experiences actually with people? What do you think the time after the pandemic will be like when standing on stage and being able to share it finally with someone?
Whoa. I don't know. It's so hard to remember how it was before. So I can't wait. I can't wait really. My only fear is that it's gonna come back and we're all gonna be like, huh? It's not that good, you know. But it's not gonna happen because I of course I remember it was really fun. It was great, and it brought me so much emotions, and you know I learned so many things from just seeing bands live, and it's really inspiring. So I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's gonna be. I can only imagine it's gonna be like a big reunion when it comes back, you know, because everybody misses it, and I don't know. I just hope we're not gonna be too blasé too quickly, you know.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, then Joris, maybe what I asked David, but then I'll ask you the same actually. What are the practices and the things you discovered during the pandemic that you might even continue after the pandemic, although you could go to a show? What are the things where you said, okay, this is really a great thing to do and we should actually continue that?
Yeah, we came up with some ideas that we wouldn't have come up with without this pandemic. For instance, last week, the British band Royal Blood took over Studio Brussels for an hour. They made a radio show playing their favorite songs directly from their own studio in Brighton. So it became easier to do things with artists that are far away. And this way, there are new opportunities for interacting with different artists that we didn't have before. So and there are as well new opportunities to interact with our audience that we have learned. So short thing, there will be a few concepts that we will take away, and artists won't have to travel all around the world anymore to do promo. They can do cool things just behind their computer screen. Yeah, sure, we won't be doing everything exactly the same way as we did it before the pandemic in terms of creating music content.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask you also the same question, because probably it's also, we all have sentimental expectation to how the time will be after the pandemic. How do you see it with live music and also professionally? What do you expect?
Well, I expect we're going to experience a lot of things again it's for the first time. Last week I was on a pedal field and there was a small sound system playing, and I realized that it was more than a year ago that I heard loud music and I heard the effect of a subwoofer, and I was so happy. So we're going back to concerts again in the best conditions in a few weeks or months. It will be the first time that we'll be dancing together with other people that we don't know for over a year. So as a radio station, we want to be there when it happens, of course. And I think we also want to be there to demonstrate that even when this pandemic might not be completely over in a few weeks or months, hopefully it will be possible to safely enjoy live music again. So we're ready for it.
Great. And then Fiona, I'll ask you a similar question, because it's also interesting then to take the European perspective maybe in now is, what are your hopes and expectations also on the European level when it comes to the reopening of culture, so to say? How do you see it happening?
How I see it happening, I really hope, first of all, that it happens the sooner the better, so that we can all go back to our normal lives. But I think I want a little bit to repeat what I said already. All this has brought us lots of learnings. And one of the learning is that you don't need always to travel and to, in a way, have an impact on environment to do things. You can really now say, okay, there are certain things that are worth absolutely to do live, but there are others in which you can avoid and do things online, which are absolutely fine. Our event today, it's the first time we did an event. We had 400 participants from all over Europe. It was about sharing good practices. We did it all in-house without any support at all. So it was really done by me and my colleagues. It worked perfectly well, and it allowed people to share good practices. So my main takeaway is, in future, we have to be more responsible towards environment. And of course, we will go to concerts. Of course, we are going to continue financing this dimension, but we need absolutely to take care very important concepts, one of which is environment and our impact on what we do in the environment, including the cultural sector, but as well working on thematics like gender equality. And therefore, we will only finance projects which really think about this kind of dimensions, which are super important to allow a cultural sector which is more eco-friendly, but as well which is more equal in terms, for example, of gender equality, of musicians, but as well of everybody which is behind the scenes. So that's my point of view.
And then Reese, coming back to you, what are your hopes and expectations for when this is all over, hopefully very soon?
My answer is going to be very, very blunt, but yeah, more European touring for artists. I mean, we really need to have this back. I mean, it's as Fiona and I think everybody mentioned, I mean, there are so many things that, you know, online has brought us in terms of experimentation, in terms of, you know, efficiency, even convenience, but you know, we also realized that the irreplaceable value of, you know, the concert, the live concert of an artist, you know, the emotions it creates for an audience, and I mean, even now, when I was watching the recordings of you know, some of the artists that participated in our campaign, well, there was no audience, but just to see again a live show, it was, I mean, so much emotion for us and everybody that was there, and it's really, you know, something that's yeah, you cannot replace so easily, and especially, you know, that added value of discovery is so much more through the live experience. So I really hope for that, because I mean, that's also one of the, you know, consequences of the crisis is, of course, you know, how it has pushed forward, you know, social isolation and even distrust in the future for a lot of citizens, and I really think that, you know, culture and live music can be, you know, one of the vehicles to regenerate that enthusiasm for the future, and you know, to once again, you know, bring people together and build bridges between, you know, different territories or languages, and yeah, it's really something that I'm hoping for.
Great, me too. And since we have 5 minutes left, let's do a quick last round. Very short one. Imagine this is all over and you can choose one concert you can attend tomorrow. You can say why this one, but you don't have to. David, which concert would that be?
Oh, I had to be the first.
Yeah, the others can prepare now.
I think it's gonna be Okelu. And I have to say why, or I don't have to say why.
You can.
Just because I loved her mixtape.
That's a good reason. Joris, what's your first concert?
yeah, obviously I want to go see David perform live in the AB, preferably. I've never seen him perform live, and I like his music, so I'm very curious to hear what it's going to be.
Fiona, you had some time to think.
I think I will go for David. I've been following Live Europe for so many years. I really enjoy emerging artists, and I would really like to discover new ones. So I go for David.
Yeah, Elise, you almost have to say David now, but
Yeah.
Oh, we're sold out. We're sold out already.
I'm not going to say David because I want to promote more artists. So I think I'm going to say an artist that I discovered in one of the playlists we've been making with some of the music venues of the platform. So it's Maria Reis. Yeah, I really, it's a Portuguese artist. I wouldn't be able to describe her genre, but it's you know, very, very summary, and I don't know, it makes me think about you know, moments with friends and with different people. So yeah, but I would say for me, a concert is, again, maybe more about the experience. So I would love to be you know, together with some of the programmers of our venues who, you know, they have such a good taste on which live shows to see whenever we're in meetings, you know, in festivals. So what I prefer to do is just follow somebody and apart from Live Europe to see, you know, what they have to discover. So yeah.
Great, thank you for your spontaneous answers, and thank you so much for this interesting hour with a lot of very good ideas and a lot of hopes, but a lot of also, I thought, positive feelings despite the difficult year you all had, and I'm really thankful for this panel, and this also with very few information on the Live Europe campaign. So everyone who will want to see the sets by the 15 emerging artists, they will be available on www.europeday.live as of the 9th of May at midnight. They'll be broadcasting for the whole month of May on the radios that are participating, like Studio Brussels or Antena 3 in Portugal. And yeah, the broadcast will include also interviews with the artists, and you can check all the timetables and the program online on www.europeday.live. Thank you so much for this hour of discussion, and I hope the public enjoyed it too. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Diego. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.